Hello, I'm Ania, and welcome to The Greenhouse. If you've been to a movie theater within the past, let's say 50 years, you may have noticed a particular trend. Sequels, reboots, prequels, gritty reboots, origin stories, spin-offs, gritty reimagined origin stories, in-between-quels, and whatever you call it when Tim Burton gets a hold of your franchise. That's right. In this episode of The Greenhouse, we're taking a quick look at film series and franchise films. First things first, let's look at the history of sequels in film. And like most cinematic trends, it did not start with Star Wars. Let's take a step way back to the year 1916. It was a year of #Woodrow Wilson for Prez and the film industry's first sequel. Controversial to say the least, the 1915 film Birth of a Nation's box office success motivated writer-director Thomas Dixon Jr. to adapt his own novel as a sequel, Fall of a Nation. Yes, that's right, the first film sequel was also a book adaptation. 10 points for Gryffindor. Despite Dixon's efforts to cash in on the hype, Fall of a Nation was a critical and commercial flop. Fortunately, it was the last and only time a film sequel had disappointed audiences. Son of the Mask. The trend of sequels didn't stop with Fall of a Nation's failure. All throughout cinema's golden era, sequels were ubiquitous. Between the years of 1915 and 1960, there were 31 Tarzan movies, including classics such as Tarzan's New York Adventure, Tarzan and the Leopard Woman, and Tarzan in Space. Alright, I made that last one up. But how cool would that have been? According to Wikipedia, there have been over 200 films that feature the character or likeness of Count Dracula, including that time he ran into Abbott and Costello for some reason. Even with over 200 films under his cape, Count Dracula still falls short of the fictional character most frequently adapted to film, Sherlock Holmes. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, over 70 different actors have portrayed Sherlock in over 200 films. Between the years 1921 and 1923 alone, there were 45 short films and 2 features based on the consulting detective. So what does this all mean? Well, for one thing, sequels are not a contemporary trend. The notion of using subsequent films to cash in on the original is about as old as the film industry itself. Did you know there is actually an unauthorized remake of the iconic Georges Méliès 1902 sci-fi film, A Trip to the Moon? Yes, it's a 1908 film, Excursion to the Moon. It's a near shot-for-shot remake with only a few notable differences. So, we've come to terms with the fact that Hollywood has always had an affinity for sequels. But why?
I love you. You complete me.
The answer is pretty simple. Film and the business of filmmaking is an incredibly risky and expensive venture. The history of the film industry can be summed up as studios finding new ways to hedge their bets and reduce risks. Whether it's riding the wave of a particular actor's star power, recycling sets and backlots, or spitting out exploitation films to cash in on a particular audience's tastes, movie studios have numerous strategies in order to turn a profit. And really, that's okay, although it's annoying or sometimes potentially offensive. Trends like these only have power when the audience allows them to. And that includes sequels. The only reason silent films and black and white films stopped being made was not because technology advanced, but because these films weren't popular anymore. So what do we take from all this? Well, for one, we can stop blaming Hollywood for the large amount of sequels and reboots. Or perhaps we should realize that it's us, the viewing public, that asks for 12 Friday the 13th, 11 Harry Potter films, or 7 police academies. #Michael Winston. So the next time you hear someone complain about the overwhelming amount of comic book movies, zombie films, or young adult book adaptations, just remind them they could be watching Tarzan in Space. What would be the worst prequel, sequel, or reboot you can imagine? Comment below with your ideas. My favorites include Die Hard, a one-woman show, E.T. 2, Elliot Strikes Back, and a prequel to Home Alone where Kevin is still with his family. You can call it At Home. Thanks for joining us here at the Greenhouse. If you'd like to learn more about how we're serving the entertainment industry here in LA and elsewhere, check out greenhouseproductions.com. There you can find our calendar of upcoming events, the Greenhouse blog, and how you can get involved. Thanks for watching.